Can I quickly ask you about this document, Building Our Heart? It seems pretty aspirational comparing McLeod Trail to Buckingham Palace Mall when it comes to be said. Is it practical?
Yes, it is. It's both aspirational and practical. Where this came from was that we have so much stuff being built in and around what we're calling the Civic District, in and around City Hall. And there wasn't really a sense of an overall plan. So the overall plan, for example, looks at, it's kind of a silly name, but it looks at something called the meandering green. And the idea there is to create pedestrian connectivity from the river straight through to the new central library. So it's important to have this stuff down so that as we approve things over the next decades, we, for example, protect the space for the meandering green and make sure that that's there. So a good analogy of this is what happened in East Village. So the master plan for East Village didn't have the massing for every building and every single thing there, but it had the basic streets down. It had where you wanted the connectivity to happen, where you wanted people to walk, where you wanted people to bike. So that's really what this is for a much broader area.
What if the next council says, nah, not such a great idea, no money for that?
Well, it's not really anything that's asking for money. That's the important thing to note here. Because what this is really saying is over time, as development happens, it has to meet certain principles. And one of those involves, for example, the city investing some money in redoing Olympic Plaza, which has long been on our books. But this now says, all right, this is what it should, not what it should look like, but this is the purpose that Olympic Plaza should serve. So yeah, of course, councils always can change plans in the future, but that shouldn't preclude us from doing long-term planning.
Okay, wait, I have to ask you about the Golden Globes. I'm really sorry.
I'm so excited.
All right, so what do you think the revenue?
I've always wanted Lady Gaga to brush past me on her way to the stage. That's all I gotta say.
I saw her in Lethbridge. Revenue, what do you think? Film industry, will this help our economy?
Yeah, you know, this is very exciting. In fact, I believe it's true that Alberta, as an area, has more Oscars than any other area in Canada. And this is important because it really highlights the potential to do filming here. Now, I do laugh a little bit because they talk about the brutal weather conditions during what was actually a pretty mild winter when they filmed it. But it showcases Alberta to the world. And with the opening of the Calgary Film Centre later this year, this is a really, really important part of our economic development strategy and our purposeful diversification strategy. So the more we can get, you know, we saw a big lift after Brokeback Mountain. We're starting to see a lift after Fargo for different kinds of sets. And the Revenant, again, reminds people that we have these extraordinary outdoor opportunities to film here. And with the Canadian dollar being where it is, this is exactly the right time to get that kind of showcase in place.
I want to ask you, Gary Bettman's in town today. Just your thoughts on him being here to weigh in on Calgary Next.
I'm sure he goes to many different places a lot. I don't know what he's doing here because I am in council all day, but I'll be interested to hear what he has to say. I've met with him in the past about this project, and nothing really changes. We're still waiting for some numbers, and we should have more to talk about with the public this spring.
Off-site levies, this is a long time in coming?
It is a long time in coming. Certainly this is something that I've been working on even before I was mayor to ensure that we have a level playing field and that markets can work and that we are not artificially subsidizing one area of the city versus the other. So in the 2013 election, you'll recall that the centerpiece of my election campaign was about ending what I called the sprawl subsidy. And today we have an opportunity to do that. We'll see how the public hearing goes. Certainly I have to remain open to persuasion at the public hearing, but I am very pleased that we've come up with a plan that ends the sprawl subsidy for the first time, creates a level playing field among every neighborhood in Calgary for growth, and if it's passed, will really allow us to mitigate future increases in people's water bills. So all of this makes sense to me.
Utility users faced soaring water rates. Are they going to get a break if this levy comes through?
Well, that's all, of course, pending council direction on this, but certainly I'm not happy that people's water bills have gone up as much as they have over the last 4 years, but as I've said over the last 4 years, we had to do it. We had to do it because growth on the edges of the city was not paying for itself. We took on enormous debt. The majority of the city's debt is precisely related to building water and wastewater infrastructure for new areas on the outskirts. And before I became mayor, we had no plan on paying back that debt. So our only plan to pay back the debt was to increase people's water bills. If this passes today, then we will not need to take on the same levels of debt for future expansions of the water system, meaning that pending what council wants to do, we should be able to significantly reduce the increase in people's water bills.
So what is this, I guess, what you guys are looking at with the offsite levy, what does that mean for home builders and home buyers?
So what it means to builders is that their cost will go up, approximately 1% of the cost of a single detached home. But there's a lot they can do to mitigate this. So for example, if they build higher density, of course they spread the cost out among more units and it's a lower cost. We have also committed to continue our work in cutting red tape and improving the approvals process to build with stuff, which means that we should take way more than 1% of cost out of the system. So certainly builders may choose to pass that on. They may choose to change their own business practices to absorb or save the 1%, and we'll be doing that to help them. But we are creating for the first time a truly competitive market.
To switch gears a little bit, I know we were talking a lot about Ramsey and Inglewood, but yesterday the talk was more about a Domino's pizza entering the neighborhood. What do you think about the community's concerns?
Well, I'm not sure the community is concerned. I've heard one or two people are concerned. I think it's important for us to make that distinction. However, I spent a lot of time as a retail consultant, and I can say very, very confidently that the most successful retail streets have a mix of chain and independent. People come for the chain stores, that creates the traffic that the independent stores then are able to build off of. And when you look at great shopping streets anywhere in the world, you'll see that everywhere. So I do not agree that chain pizza ruins a neighborhood. And in fact, I would really suggest to people that if you don't want the chain pizza in your neighborhood, don't eat the chain pizza. And the market will very quickly sort that out.